Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom, to jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Witam wszystkich bardzo serdecznie. Dzisiaj mamy 338 spotkanie. Warsztaty poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim. Mamy czwartek, 20 luty 2020 rok. I tematem jest 315 warsztat. Jest to tłumaczenie od 6 minut do 23 minut. Później następnie mamy od 29 minut do 35 i od godziny 1 minuty do godziny 8 minut i najdłuższy, jeszcze nie najdłuższy, i od godziny 12 do godziny 50 i od 2 godzin 6 do 2 godzin 42. Ten ostatni jest taki najdłuższy fragment. To są wybrane przez Przemka właśnie takie fragmenty, które są w zasadzie bardziej kluczowe, a te, które są pomiędzy, są jakby omijane, bo są może mniej, jakby to powiedzieć, mniej, no po prostu częściowo nie mamy czasu na to, żeby cały warsztat przetłumaczyć. A to są najważniejsze fragmenty, tak więc zapraszam do odsłuchania i obejrzenia, a potem się podzielimy swoim zrozumieniem.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready for today's workshop?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these knowledge seekers series of workshops. I think we are entering in our more or less 7th year as we enter 315 teaching. It's nice to be back. It's nice to see how a lot of things taking shape. And we have to see how far and how deep we can turn this knowledge to be. I noticed just before we start, Wang Bin is with us from China. She's the head of the Keshe Foundation operation in the whole of China. And it would be nice to know what is happening with the One Cup, One Life and how we hear from our Chinese knowledge seekers. Wang Bin, would you like to join us if you can speak?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Nice to meet you.
Nice to talk to you. At least you're still alive, as I say.
I said the God always look after me.
No problem. Can you explain to us what is happening in China now? It's a concerns for the foundation and the world, and how do we see it in China? What is the position?
Actually, I think
I have to tell you, you have to translate while you speak both sides because they're waiting for you on the other side to listen as well.
Okay, understand. 开始先生让我谈一下这个一杯一命在中国的情况，然后以及现在这个疫情中国的情况，需要我去做翻译。So you want to know the one cup, one life, or want to know the whole situation?
General, the whole situation. China is part of the family, so we have to know what's going on.
Okay. So actually, after the new year, is supposed to go back to work, but the control is more tight. The general situation is like out of province Wuhan, the cases report became decreased every day in about 1 week. But the cases in Wuhan, I think you read numbers, suddenly it's jumping to 15,000, something like that. That is because before there's a lack of hospital resources and a lot of people being diagnosed and have nowhere to go, no hospital, no bed, no treatment. So they have to try themselves to find a way. It's good that there's a lot of Chinese doctors. They are online to set up groups to guide them how to use Chinese traditional medicine to saving their life. Actually, they have good effects. This time, because you know, for the health system in China, it's always Western medicine dominate. But anyway, they don't have the effective medicine so far, and even the even they how to say they say they have this American medicine, but seems there's a very lot of some side effects or something like that. It's just some internal information. I don't know yet. So now the Chinese traditional medicine has taken more role in this So they also have some doctor teams from Chinese medicine hospital go there to support the province in Wuhan. Yeah, hopefully we can control. But if the government also extend the vacation, but some of the even some of the delivery is not working. So I think right now most of the factory still are not open, and for some situation, for some city or like close to the virus cases, and they block the whole community. Such as my community, there's one family. The son has taken flight from Taiwan to Wuhan to transfer the flight and come and fly back, and he catch the disease, the virus, and infected his parents first, and then diagnosed him has it later on for 3 years. And now our community is locked. We only can go out for once in 2 days. Like one family, only one person can go out for once to buy some necessary food or something. And all the other shops are closed by government, so only one supermarket is opened. Yeah, for the One Cup One Life, we have some cases here report successful. We managed to find one lady in Wuhan City after we published One Cup One Life. But yeah, her mom now is recovering. At that time, she said she called emergency car to take her mom to the hospital, but no hospital accept. She tried 5 hospitals, and she had to move her back. So almost in despair, she heard that we have the solution she want to try. So we managed to get the volunteer knowledge seekers in Wuhan City to make some guns for her, and especially find a volunteer, a guy to help to deliver it to her. And she's starting to spray and try to feed and breathing a little bit. But most of the time she's just spray the body, because they are not so dare to drink much. And also her mom's lung was damaged so bad. She need the oxygen machine to support her breathing. And the strange thing is, when she said she tried to change this filter water with our gas water, she said her mom cannot breathe, and so they stopped. But all of her family had tried to drink something, and just majorly use spray the face, mouth, and the lung, and the back of the body, and all the furniture, all the environment of their house. And then the second day, she managed to find a Chinese doctor to give her mom some recipe for Chinese medicine, and she managed to feed her mom the Chinese medicine, and now her mom is almost recovered. She said she want food, and she's hungry, and I'm not like catching the time and for feed her, and she can get up and walk and go to toilet by herself, eat by herself. So that's a good news. She's recovering.
What is the situation with the promotion with the internet, with the one cup, one life?
Yeah, the internet, we have good support from the Chinese older institution of Beijing Opening University. They help us to publish our the One Cup, One Life in their website and also WeChat platform. But unfortunately, we are getting attacked by a lot of people. They don't believe. Even one of the Tsinghua University chemistry professor, and he wrote an article to say like our technology is fake science. And she said it's just the primary chemistry experiment, and then the internet, they have a lot of news like to say we are fake or something blah blah. So we met a lot of problem to promote. And also when our volunteer or knowledge seeker try to spread the information in some groups, they get kicked out or they get curse, dirty words, or even one of like the police had warned them like don't release this kind of information. So actually we feel a little bit frustrated, although we have our good heart, try to help the nation, try to help the people, but since the technology is not being accepted by most of the population.
What is the position with the government, military?
Actually, yeah, we have actively to approach the government side. I think you know that you had signed a letter to the president and the prime minister, and then when we deliver the document, they pass to the health organization and ask them to evaluate. And we have approached the officers of the health administration, and they tried very hard. And then they said they're going to the expertise to evaluate the technology. And then we're waiting.
Can I ask you a question? What's happening with Shanghai hospital?
Shanghai, yeah, they said that they're gonna to accept that. Well, maybe they're gonna to start some cases now. The newest information is they don't want to try. They want to maybe mass applied in Shanghai hospital for like some not so serious cases, because one of the Chinese doctor he is trying to mix our GANS water with his Chinese medicine, and he felt could be very good. And he already managed to cure several cases, like have some lightly symptoms at the early stage. So he is confident to move ahead with our technology. So we have 2 hospitals now. They said they may be gonna to try. One is Beijing Bitan
It's
Hospital.
okay, but don't mention names because you have to keep it out of the way. What is the position with the knowledge seekers?
Actually, all the knowledge seekers, they are very active, and they produce more and more GANs, and everybody come and show what they made. And we also managed to teach some newcomer to learn to make their own GANs in the first time. So we have a QQ group. Now we all have about 1,100 people in that group. Every day, people was there to discussing some techniques, how to make the 1 cup 1 life GANs.
What's the position with Tencent News?
Yeah, that is very funny. It's just like in one day, because the click of the article and the video of this 1 cup 1 life reached I think more than 10,000 in couple of days. And then we suddenly found there's Tencent News to say like to say we have the 1 cup 1 life solution for the virus. And yeah, and then because of this university chemical professor said it's a fake science. And then the second day, this Tencent News said this is a rumor, this is a fake science. So actually we we don't know how to say. Yeah.
But did they take it off, or is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there, and they spread more and more platform. They say we are fake science. That's very pity.
Okay. How is the population taking it?
Some people believing, and some people not. But I think most of the knowledge seekers, they come back because they apply this technology for many years. They know it works. It's some people, because now we have a program to collect all the signature and the testimony, and we try to maybe deliver it to the government to show that we a lot, like thousands of people had already applied to this technology to help people. Why? This just a chemical professor, they know nothing about plasma technology, and he said it's a fake, and all the nation or all the news accepted. That's a strange thing.
So one man has done, because he's a professor, and he's done that.
Oh, in China, people believe in academicians, believe in professors in the university. That's normal.
Any other news?
No. Well, some Chinese people ask for the translation.
Okay. Do you want to translate for them?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think I summarized most of information.
Yeah. What is the position with the knowledge seekers and working with the government and military?
Actually, we don't know yet because some knowledge seekers receive a call from some other knowledge seeker. They said they have the army and some officer of the health administration and some scientists from China academician or blah blah. They are set up. They have a company or something like that. Want to mass production GANs in huge amount. They want to reach 1 ton per day, and yeah, and we don't know how they gonna to do. They seems like they have some project already in this in Wuhan city to do the garbage cleaning, and they have the products to be applied, and then since they had tried gas water to get tested in some Beijing testing organization, and they said gas water has very effective for killing the virus and the bacteria. So they're getting shipping the products to as a disinfection products there. And yes,
Well, the military, I mean.
They mentioned, but nobody knows who is who.
But have they start collaborating with them, the knowledge seekers?
We don't know. Because we told them, like, if you want to mass production, as Keshe Foundation can help government to do. But since these guys think they can handle it, so they refuse the.
Okay, any other news? How is the population feeling?
Oh, actually, I don't know how to say, because different places, people has different feeling. If you are asking for the Wuhan city, I think the news announced today we changed the head of the the whole Hubei provinces. And a couple of days ago, we changed the head of the health administration and disease control center. Because the central government had sent a group there.
How is they feeling in China on the streets?
Nobody's on the street. Chinese is very follow the government, and also because they don't have any way effective control the disease. So the best way is nobody go out.
The whole nation is shut down.
Yeah, actually.
Factories?
Most of factories, they're not allowed to open. Even I told you our corporate factory, they said they get the request, they get an order to support the new hospital built in Wuhan, but the local government don't allow them to produce.
till when this is going to happen?
I don't know. I think if government think the situation is under control, they will open more and more.
But when is going to be lifted, these moves, you think?
Nobody knows. God knows, I think.
So in each area, you have only one supermarket open, more or less.
Yeah,
in your area.
yeah. In my, yeah, I think not only one, maybe another one, just some like necessary, like medicine, pharmaceutical shop is open. The supermarket is open. The all other shop is closed.
What is the position of government in respect to this? What Chinese say?
I think there's a sign like more and more ministry to be involved in that area.
Anything else? Do we have any
No.
other? Do we have?
And some people is asking the way to make a big amount of amino acid.
The only way you can make huge amount of amino acid is use a bigger pot, bigger surface.
然后，就是说，想要生产更多氨基酸的方法，你就不要用一个更大的容器，更大表面积的容器。
Regularly clean the amino acids from the top.
然后定期的在顶上去收集这些氨基酸。
You have to look for your salt, what they call salinity, that stays always constant.
还要保持一定的这个盐度，盐的这个盐度。
A lot of I've taught this before. A lot of you knowledge seekers don't what you don't see is that
很多知识寻求者看不到。
Very strange. I cannot reach my board. Okay, I use a different way to reach it. I think when you make your boxes,
当你做盒子的时候
when you make boxes and you collect your CO2 at the bottom,
你在底下收集你的二氧化碳。
in your water, when you have with your amino acid on the top,
在你的水里，然后上面有这个氨基酸。
this CO2 which you collect at the bottom
你在底下收集的二氧化碳
has a combination of the O2.
然后呢，它有这个两个氧的这样一个结合。
You create between your plates a condition of the carbon.
所以在你的两个板子之间，你产生了碳的条件。
Which take the oxygen from the water.
然后从这个水里面吸收了氧。
To create you the CO2.
然后就产生了二氧化碳。
It takes in some of the oxygen and some of the carbon from atmosphere.
然后它从这个空气中又吸收了一些氧和碳。
And after a while, you might see at the bottom of your pot some white materials like a bone,
也是
calcium.
过不了多久，你可能会在底层搜集到一些像这个骨头一样的这个钙的这种白色的东西。
And you find salinity, the taste of the water here becomes sweet. It's not salty anymore.
然后你就发现你的盐水变淡了，就不再咸了。
When this salinity, through the change of production of CO2, takes place, the amino acid production stops.
就是当这个盐度降低了之后，上面的氨基酸就不再生产了。
It's a combination of the amino acid and salinity.
就是氨基酸跟这个盐度是有关系的。
And the change in the oxygen creation of CO2,
然后
which
改变这个。
which does not sustain the fields for carbon to be pulled from the atmosphere, and you stop production of CO2 and amino acid.
然后就是把这个氧吸过去，然后就造成它就是跟碳结合了之后，没有办法从空气中吸收更多的这个碳进来的时候，那整个干丝的生产也停止了，然后氨基酸的生产也停止了。
Depending on the temperature of the room, depending on the carbon and the salinity, you see the production of the amino acid changing.
就是跟房间的温度、环境的温度，还有这个里面的盐度，然后你会看到它这个生产的这样一个变化。
If you're not producing much CO2, you can't produce much amino acid.
如果你二氧化碳生产的多的话，你的氨基酸也不可能生产很多。
So if you produce CO2 in a closed room, your production of amino acids is much less.
所以如果你是在一个封闭的房间里面去生产的话，那你的氨基酸也会生产的很少。
If you live in a city, you produce more amino acid. If you live in a rural area, you produce less amino acid and less CO2.
然后如果你在城市里面，你可以生产更多的二氧化碳和氨基酸，但是如果你在更遥远的地方，这个山区或者什么，你就生产的二氧化碳和氨基酸就会更少。
And if you have a circulation, you produce more CO2 of what I call airflow.
如果你可以有这个就是空气的循环的话，那么你就可以生产更多的这个二氧化碳。
Airflow has come from outside the building, not inside.
你是 outside the air
Yeah, I mean atmospheric, not room area. You can't put a fan next to it and increase it. The air has to come from outside.
必须要从屋外来的空气，所以大家可能要把这个窗户打开。
If you have plants in the house, a lot of plants, and is many people, you produce more CO2s. If you hardly have any plants, and it's just one person in the house, you don't produce that much CO2 to be absorbing. Even the field is in the pot, in the container, but there's no carbon to absorb.
对，如果你是一个人在家，然后家里也没有很多植物的话，那么你生产的二氧化碳干丝就会很少。 因为
And
空气中没有足够的碳来吸入到这个干细胞。
in the environment when there is many plants or trees, you find you produce a lot of CO2 sometime after 4 o'clock in the afternoon till the early morning, and during the day you don't produce that much.
如果你周围是有很多的树或者植物的话，你会发现你是在下午四五点钟以后到第二天早上生产的这个二氧化碳比较多，然后白天的时候生产的比较少。
So you need the flow of the glue, you call it, copy and paste on it. What is interesting, and I deliberately allowed Wang Lin to explain to you what is happening and why this academician has put this thing out. A lot of Chinese academicians are paid by the American organizations, many of them, to block anything comes in except American medication. And they are putting a lot of fake, because their recommendation, and they've been paid into their American accounts to put these things out, to block any organization which comes with anything. We, in the future, will check and we'll let you know what is their position. There's a biggest fear in CPC and the Chinese. Do you want to translate Wang Lin in the background? Yeah?
I am translating the background.
Yeah.
You can.
There is a huge concern. That's why I said we're talking to the government in the background. Many, many academicians who are American trained and they have a voice and they get paid in their American accounts privately are blocking anything which comes in, like Keshe Foundation, to promote American injection. What we have seen with part of the American injection is that some of the patients, after receiving the injection, they feel good. But in a few days after they go home, they die of lack of oxygen, up to 20%. And we have seen a couple of cases like this, which is come up, but the rest has not, they just die. Wang Lin, can you explain the cases on this?
Yes, I am following to translate concurrently in the background, so you can go ahead.
Yeah. Can you explain to us with the drivers who die from lack of oxygen?
Which driver?
The people in China who die with 20% oxygen level.
Yes, it is said that like the most patient die because of less oxygen level. Yeah.
This graph on the screen is a horrendous picture to look. Keshe Foundation and some international organizations, we are monitoring this. You got to understand, Keshe Foundation operates not just in China, but across the world, and we have a close contact and operation with a lot of scientists, which we don't never bring in public because of what we've seen they've done. Hooligans in Belgium, they kill and they've killed. And so we protect our scientists. If you look this figure, they're all Chinese. One death in America is an American. As far as we know, he has received the injection from the American virus. All, more or less, are Chinese. Or Chinese descendant line. This virus is tailor-made to race. We have informed the Chinese government and many of fears have grown up. What we were afraid of, we see. Hitler tried to make a race virus, and now we see it. People who are infected, non-Chinese, recover, but death appears in the Chinese race only. It's a flu, it can take hold. One of our concern, which is raised with Chinese government in the background, is that there is a concern, as Chao said, that they're hoping that it'll go away by summer, or it gets warm. This is the pattern of the virus. Usually when it gets warm, it goes away. But there is a problem. We could be 100% wrong, but we could be right. That factor we cannot ignore. First of all, Americans are paying a lot of academicians to the special academicians, PhD to their students free in America, or PhD places for their scientists in America. This scientist who's written a paper on Keshe Foundation has that track record. So we know how it came about. Secondly, the position is that Americans filled the Chinese environment with pig swine flu over past 2 years. There is a very distinct separation between the swan flu and this flu. Why swan flu is hauled and crossed into China during the summertime is because it's a heat flu. There is a difference between a heat flu and a cold flu. In China, spreading the heat flu and now this cold flu, there is a fear, there is a concern that these two flus might merge sometime in March, April, and we'll see the death toll will carry on. The infection in what you call China will not stop. This concern has risen higher in the past 48 hours. We have seen now flu in Christian communities and not in the Muslim communities like in Indonesia. Pig consuming nations which already been hit by pig flu. When Gates released this to reduce population, in his calculation he made a fatal mistake. This flu now has become to protect the Muslims, which they do not touch pigs. And if what we see in past 48 hours and what we see on this data takes hold and runs into summer, and if there are 2 or 3 nations here which might add into Romania, Poland, Russia is already in it, then my fear grows bigger. These are the Christian nations who've been infected by pig flu. So we might see continuation of this flu into summer through the pig flu infection and carrying across Northern Europe. This is one of the biggest concerns at the moment internationally on this move. And we have to be very, very vigilant. So when we saw this article appears by this professor, we immediately put securities on him. He's been offered PhDs for his students in the United States, write a paper. You remember that professor who wrote a paper and he supported for years, and in the background we found out he was getting paid heavily, now he's in prison. He was aware of the dangers of it. This professor in China who's written this paper is an American-based, finance-backed. I wonder how many of his students will pay for their lives. But if this goes through, you will see will go very drastic. The biggest problem for our concern is if the 2 flus link up. There is a possibility of linking. And this possibility with the last 48 hours has increased drastically. And what we see is what came out to damage China through the pig flu coming down, now will go back to the Christian nations, which have been a heavy consumer of pig products in the summer. This could not happen, but what we saw in Indonesia in past 48 hours tells us to be correct. Knowledge seekers across the world start preparing all your, what we call, cup of life. And in due course, we handle this professor in the right way. You don't sell your nation for a few PhDs. This is the same concern as I have as we speak in the background to the Chinese leaders. They've been sold internally by some American supporters of Chinese blood. The figures in China is much bigger, but that's the responsibility of the Chinese government. We support the Chinese government. And on the other hand, I want to open a channel directly to His Excellency President Xi of China. One of the blockages of the Keshe Foundation by the Chinese administration has nothing to do with Keshe Foundation except me as a Iranian scientist. Through, as I explained earlier, national security, international security, and meetings we have with national securities in conjunction with international affairs of the Keshe Foundation, is that sometime in recent past, His Excellency President Xi has fallen out with President Ayatollah Rouhani of Iran. And Keshe Foundation has got trapped in it. The situation is 100% in favor of Chinese. We understand it. But on the other hand, we understand politics has no mother and no father. Our concern in Iranian national security, understanding in the Chinese, is China stood by Iran from the beginning of the revolution as a friend. And President Xi feels he was betrayed by the Rouhani administration in moving towards America, as he was American educated. And for that reason, China has put a huge sanctions on Iran, much, much worse than the rest of 5+1. This situation has nothing to do with us, and Keshe Foundation has got trapped in it. And this is why Chinese government, in even CPC and the highest level of the administration, use the gas waters. They are making the cuts. But officially, the line is that the Chinese will not support any technology which is coming from Iran due to behavior of the Iranian president or change of line by the presidency of Iran. And there is a concern in Iranian national security, there is a concern in Chinese security. This is affecting the nation. Sooner or later, we'll find a position. Sooner or later, we'll find a solution. But this is how Keshe Foundation is trapped in. And this academician will be handled in due course once we open his book and once the securities go further with it. And it's just one man, and 2 or 3 academicians back him. They're all American educated, backed, financed, PhD promised. He will be arrested for murder in due course by CPC, and the government will announce, and you will understand, track his life. The whole concept is not China. Keshe Foundation is one nation. So if you live in Russia, you live in Germany, you live in Poland, and everywhere else, Indonesia and Philippines, and you have heard in your area there has been a peak flow in past 2-3 years, most probably you have consumed it. Just keep a cup handy summertime. I'm let's say 90% hoping not be there, but that 10% and what we done test on viruses is extremely strong. Viruses link up like the bacteria do to amino acid. Viruses have a habit of finding the commonest denominator of energy. What our fear is the pig flu has managed to connect to amino acid of a pig. This flu has managed to connect with the amino acid of human. But we have linked it by eating them. There is one big problem. Muslims don't eat pig. Bill Gates, Rothschild, and the rest have sown a seed for annihilation of Christianity. And this is what was not taught. In many ways, my concern is this sits here, and we'll take this step further. But as knowledge seekers, I deliberately brought Wang Lin for you to understand. Never discuss what she was going to say, that you could see a true picture. And in the background, we give you the knowledge. You got to realize many, many top scientists live a comfortable life due to the money is paid by organizations to promote. And many, many rich people, they think they can play the game of their money with their power. Gates believes the world is overpopulated, especially by Chinese. Inside his structure and his brains, there is a misfunction somewhere that he thinks he can control the population, and he has a vendetta against Chinese because Chinese copied most of his things and he couldn't become richer. And this vendetta has got worse since the new richest man in the world has appeared. He lost his position. And Chinese have copied all his works they could do. And he sees Chinese as part of his ego trip of being the richest is gone. Now is the revenge time. This will not pay, but if you, as what you see here, what is amazing me is very, very interesting. Look at all the names here. Take UAE out, which has been a high traffic Chinese, something like 500,000 per million plus Chinese go through UAE due to Emirates Airlines 380 for 500 passengers, China to Europe hub, one night stay, and all the affected one except one Filipino who's a Chinese descendant, they're all Chinese, is a horrendous figure you see. Singapore and Malaysia are Chinese part of mixture. The rest are Christian nations. Now you understand our concern. Now you understand Bill Gates has put a root in the wrong place. And my hope and my wishes are that the technology of KF Foundation and the systems we have delivered to the Chinese government, and hopefully within the next few days will be announced by another nation to support this internationally. Most of the nations, Christians, are already embedded. And this is one of my biggest fears. And this will create a mayhem. Hong Kong, Thailand, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Australia, Germany, Vietnam, United States, France, Macau, United Kingdom, Canada, Italy, Philippines, India, Russia, Spain, Finland, Nepal, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Sweden, Belgium. I think Gate has shot the Christianity in the foot and the head. Let's see what happens. But I have always been outspoken and most of the time proven to be correct. This virus, if switches, it came down the north. Americans spread it this way during the summer. And what we see now is Black Death will go very much this way from south of China up into Europe. When it came down, it killed the pigs. When it goes back, it will kill the man. All the Keshe Nation Chinese, Europeans, be prepared for if we have to see danger. The biggest problem is this. If this is established, we will see the Black Plague in Europe in the next 2 to 4 years. The strangest thing is, in China, we see some indication of this. And I've asked my security to look into this. Here and here. Number one is highly Islamic part of the China. And this side, number two, is mainly not. What we are looking at, if the death toll and contaminated people are mainly Buddhist, Taoist, and what is the percentage of Muslims who are infected and died in China? This is something that central government CPC has to provide. Then we have to understand where is the crosslink. Results coming out of the past 48 hours tells us Christians are running with it. What is interesting is all these numbers here are any of the Muslim. pig and race has gone to kill a religion. This is something our contacts in China have to establish very rapidly through national security in China. We have to see this, because if he stays that way, then the summer is going to be not so comfortable for many, many of you in Western Europe in the next 2 to 3 years. The hotter it gets, the more it kills. As a leading scientist in these affairs, we used to consult governments, but as one nation, we consult all of you. Our concern cannot be ignored. There is too much data, too much facts, too much reality, too much of too much of too much indicates. I would like to know if there is one in Vatican. But there is a bigger problem with this. They have managed to tailor-make this to a race. Would, by whole possibilities, this race will be the next one? And by high possibilities, would this race will go in to wipe out one nation? Germany. I'll explain this to you in the future. This is what, as one nation, one planet, one race, we see all as a family and has to be more or less looked into. Governments don't want to talk about it. Keshe Foundation government talks about it. Because we have to prepare Islamic nations to be ready for this as we see it tailor-made. We have to see and prepare for it, especially in Russia and Germany. One of our biggest concern is the head of these organizations who bought the spread has to be confined in solitary confinement till we know exactly what they done, the way we did with Sterling. How they planned and what is in the background. In upcoming discussions with governments, this will be on the card. We have to establish this in a detail. How many of the people died in China are of a Muslim descent? How many of them have used, are vegetarian and non-vegetarian? And how many of them have been in a condition of the death toll in the South? You got to realize, as part of the Keshe Foundation structure, and our Chinese colleagues can tell you, something very strange happened during the, what we call pig flu. When the pig flu came into China, pig flu was launched by the Americans to come in this way. There was a reason for it. It came during the coldest time and it came in, so that's why we are concerned. It's a hot flu, but it was running through the cold time. What happened in China is that the pig farmers here bought, sold the infected pigs and shipped down to the south to be sold cheaper with more money. So most of the infected pigs which consumed is here. And this is where we see concentration of the virus. Chinese government has lost track, too busy to see these kind of things. And now we see the spread. The farmer sold the pig and it entered the, what do you call it, the chain. The business people brought it down and sold it at a higher rate. And all the infected pig is in this area. Exactly where we see the high level of virus. And the Americans monitored this, that they could create a confusion. But it's not confused anymore, it's very clear. And our Chinese government officials in the background listening, my advice is to speak to Wang Lin and to the Keshe Foundation Secure Operation outside China. We need to get this sorted because when it goes back up, it will kill everyone across right to Europe. Russia has a concern. My biggest Russia is I love Russian structure. I worked there for many years and I hope will not get damaged. Russia has lost 10% of its pig farm to this flu. So that won't go. And during the summertime will float back. It needs one season to incubate, the second season will come. This is where we sit. Those of you who live in France, in Germany, in the United States, anywhere you see these, look at two things. Chinese descendant received injections from the Americans, Christian and Muslim. And then the name of the man who wants to depopulate. He will depopulate America and Western Europe, where his name was his anger with China. He bought the patent. You know, in olden days, people bought artists' copyrights to be proud. This man has bought copyright to death and he will receive it himself. This is a genocide planned out. And the rule of the United Nations is the head of genocides have to appear on certain court. Now you understand my concern. You're Christian, you eat pig, you live in North Europe, We live in Philippines and what we call South Central Asia. We are all wonderful. Vietnam, Korea, Japan, through connections with China, has received it. Macau, Taiwan, you're at risk because you're not Christians, but as part of the tradition, you consume pig. And if you've seen pig in your country reported with a virus of the pig flu, you're vulnerable during the heat of the summit. This was our biggest concern. How this flu will behave in the warm countries and in what has appeared in what we call Philippines and in Taiwan, Singapore has raised a lot of alarms on me. I look at it as a one family, and this family is in distress. As I said, I brought for you to hear the truth directly from the Keshe Foundation Chinese. And in a way, it was a nice way Wang Lin put it, very honestly, what the problem is, where the problems is with Keshe Foundation. But in time, these, what we call academicians, and financing of their accounts and their PhDs and the rest of whatever the children being taught in America are paid to do, receiving free education for their family, all will be opened up. This academician is well paid, well looked after by the Americans. And it's the job of the Keshe Foundations to open his hand how he's betrayed his nation and causing so much death. This academician has to come under question very tightly. And we have the documents, we can go a long way with him. I hope it was worth a PhD. We come to another point in the Keshe Foundation. As you know, we come to our 7th year beginning up. And in that process, we enter another phase of teaching in the KF SSI. And many of you have enrolled into KF SSI, and now you've joined certain research groups. We allow you another week or 2 weeks in the research groups to work your way, find out if you really want to be in a group, you really want to be in a group, and then we lock the groups down. It means you can come in, but you cannot participate. You do not understand as a part of the group. And after next month, some of your groups, which we have interest.
Ms. Keshe, some Chinese is asking, you mentioned the African swine fever virus link with the new virus. They're asking, is the cup of life still workable for balance the energy of the virus?
Yes, you go through 2 phases of fever. Be very careful. Wang Ning can tell you, we monitored this. It's actually in the report of the swan fever, which was published. Is the head of the Keshe Foundation in the background, Ella? Do we see Ella in the background anywhere? Ella, can you release that if you can access the documents of the pig swine flu? I'll put it on the screen, please. We explained that pig swine flu has a connection with the bacteria and a connection with the virus. Is a double strand. The present flu is a single strand. If the flu connects back to the pig flu, which is already in your body if you consume the pig, it will go back into the double strand. In a way, if you think of it, what we're going to get is this. You have a flu package with double line, and we have another flu with a single line. This one connects to the bacteria. This side connects to energy. And they link up. In some humans, they will link up. Then what you will see, this link up will create a new condition of three-stranded virus that one sits outside. We can deplete this one quite easily. This we can deplete quite easily. But we can deplete the energy part of this too. So when you get affected, you have one high temperature with a lung damage. Then your cup of life will wipe this out in a very serious way. Then what you will see, this guy will come into play. Here. Then 2 to 3 days later, you get a high fever infection virus, what we call bacteria infection. So you have a bacteria flu, you take your waters and everything else, but now you sort this one out, and then you think you're better. Days later, you get hit with another temperature fever. 3 days later. And then you carry on still taking the water. Or now you take antibiotics. But CO, is that your telephone? Yes. Caroline. So you will understand. Just 1 second, please. Come in. So what you see is that you get a second high temperature fever. When you see the second high temperature fever, you just take antibiotic or you carry on taking more of CU loaded, what do you call, gas water. And within 6 days, you will come out of it. And this is the process which we see and we have to promote around the world in the coming time. We hopefully receive the support of one of the major governments in the world within coming days if, again, bribery and other things doesn't go to it. And this is the what you are safe. And if you look at the structure, even you Chinese were telling me about the material you have. If you look at the cups teaching a couple of weeks ago, I told you produce magnesium, which is needed. You understand why? Because a lot of you, I know in the background, are reporting diarrhea when you drink the water, which is one of the signs of the virus. This magnesium supports your stomach, and magnesium and potassium are next to each other in line, and they have energy transfer, common denominator, but the spectrum strength. So the potassium in your salt is a savior for you if you have that diarrhea due to the infection. It washes it out and it holds the stomach. So that potassium in the system is a gift to you. Don't worry about it. That's why I said you can use it, because in the cup of life, if you go back to the teaching, you produce magnesium. The potassium has a magnetic field strength by 20% variation, which gives you both magnesium and potassium back up. So you Chinese are better off with what is in your salt. This is the pattern we see, and this is a pattern Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers have to follow to safeguard yourself. We give you the knowledge. You have to trust and do it yourself, and the way you do it. Number of knowledge seekers go through it, but the ones we see with a lot of problems is the ones which has connected to the pig flu. We already monitor, we know there's few cases in China which the two has been made, but what has come out of Philippines and Thailand in past 48 hours, and in Indonesia has raised alarms of the race and connection to the pig flu. I would like to ask the Chinese National Security Online, please check full data on the background of this professor and the promises he's received for PhDs in the United States for his students. And his background education with it. Then inform the nation that this professor has been paid by the Americans to promote their vaccine. and kill more. I think Chinese knowledge seekers have to go on the internet and put his name and put his credibility on question. Then you understand. You change the position drastically. It's your responsibility as knowledge seekers to expose these agents who work against your nation. I know past week, 2 weeks, you took it with a lot of pain, but you have to understand a beautiful technology like this has many enemies who look at their bank accounts. And very strange is that we told our security monitoring this professor is using the gas water in his own lab. Very strange. And this is your job to inform your national security and give all the details to them. And all the promises in the bank accounts and his PhDs has been promised he'll be supported for, and his doctorates. Now you know what you have to do as knowledge seekers in China. Expose this man and tell them the cup of life he made to confirm is the one which is drinking himself. Any other question? It's a strange, a few PhDs in a bank account worth the life of a nation to save. I know what they do with them in China. And it's a responsibility of the Keshe Foundation to expose this very rapidly with all the Keshe Foundation knowledge, because the position of this doctor and the promises is taken. And why is he drinking from the cup himself who says nobody to touch? Any other question?
We have a couple of questions in the Q&A here. One from Stephen. Does adding an air bubbler with a pump to the GAN's production yield better results?
We do that in mass production, trying to do, but we don't do an air bubble, we do CO2 exhaust. We make the availability of the carbon more. But the gases will do the separation. It's not that the CO2 converts into a gas. Some of it does immediately, it's effective. But essentially, this is a well-known procedure in farming. I was explaining this to some of the knowledge seekers very recently. Actually, our knowledge seekers in Iran, researchers, I was explaining to them the past couple of days. In northern European countries like Holland, where they grow tomatoes indoor, the tomato greenhouses are furnished with a very big gas burners. It's unusual. You see why there's such a huge gas burner in a greenhouse. And they switch this on a couple of times a day, even in the middle of the summer, especially at night. And when they control the light system, they let the heat out, but they push the CO2 exhaust into the building. This increases the harvest and growth of the plant. And in a way, the greenhouses I visited have very effective production. They use it extensively. And in the gas production, if you do a CO2 exhaust pipe, yes. If you can, in a way, connect your a big balloon into the back of your exhaust and then slowly reduce it in your CO2 gas production, you'll see a better production. It's the availability of CO2. In one of our labs, they just put a small pump flowing air in from outside the lab inside, and they doubled the production simply by just blowing air in. It's the availability which counts. If you live in the cities and you make your gases on the balcony, you produce like a crazy amount a day. If you live in a rural area and do your CO2 in the room, it's very little. But don't forget, there is a huge understanding that those of you who produce this cup of life, you create an attraction point for viruses because you're absorbing whatever virus is in there and you're trapping it. You don't pass this to your body, but it becomes and gradually become immune to it. So if you live in China, your cup 100% will absorb part of the virus of corona, but in a way it becomes non-effective because it becomes ineffective. And when you consume it, you become immune to the thing. And that's why it works, on the other hand, very effectively for these kind of things. When you have infection and viruses like this, put a few cups of this around the house. It doesn't need to go to your body to absorb the virus and trap it. It's in the house. That's what we do. We spray the house, we spray the furniture. Put this like a trap mouse around the house. Make a few. Especially if you are around the house, you travel in planes and these kind of things, just spray. We had the head of the Keshe Foundation traveling yesterday, and I said to her, just spray the chairs and seats. You don't know who was there and what's in the air. You disinfect yourself. And these droplets, when they touch and there's a virus, and there's always, if there's a virus, has to have the skin of the man or the sweat of the man which they attach themselves to it. You disinfect it, you just trap it in its position. Effectively, you disarm even the plane for the others who might come in and might get it in the future. Any other questions? Chinese knowledge seekers, please expose this academician, because he's put a lot of people's life in danger while he's using the cup in his own office.
We have a question from Svetoslav in the Q&A, who asks, when we make the CO2 setup, if we add a 10% omega-369, for example, to the salt water, will the GAN CO2 get some percent fields of the omega-369? Mr. Keshe, omega-369, he means like omega fatty acids are called.
Fatty acid. Yeah, or you can add anything. What was the purpose of it? What is the purpose of omega-6? Rick, can you put Wikipedia on omega-6, please? Very interesting. If you are knowledge seekers, if you look at the famous, what I call ladies of pleasure, you find them in Wikipedia. Murderers, you find them in Wikipedia. But the scientists on the edge of science like me don't exist in Wikipedia, because they've been paid by their masters not disclose that people learn more. And so you learn Wikipedia is not independent, it's paymastered. And it's very interesting, just put Wikipedia, Mehran Tavakoli Keshe doesn't exist. And 4 or 5 times knowledge seekers have tried it, where you put the name of the well-known prostitutes, you find them. So that's why Wikipedia deserves in so many ways.
Okay, there's a couple of different ways to go with this.
We want the chemical structure of it, the energy bound structure of it.
Okay, let's get back to, they're listed separately as omega-3, omega-9, and omega-6.
No, we want omega-6, omega. These are all radioactive materials. These omega-6, omega-6 is converted fat for emotionally trapped animals. So preferably do not use omega-6. Omega-3 is emotionally connected link of the fat to free animals. In captivity, due to emotional structure, we produce different what we call amino acids to be able to handle part of the emotional imprisonment. In free state of mind, or what we call non-captivity, we produce different condition environment, because omega-3s, omega-6, omega whatever you call it, is a condition of life, emotion connected. That's why all the omega fatty acids have an effect. The omega-3 extracted from captured animals doesn't have any effect as such. Is made up, genetically made up. Let me explain to you historically, you will understand. Our ancestors, especially I come from a Jewish background, they cook chicken. They cooked chickens for centuries, because we didn't have mass production chickens when there was within the body of the animal was omega-3. And in boiling the chicken for a Friday night, we call the Shabbat dinner, tradition across the Jewish world, the chicken soup is a chicken soup, has to be had on a Friday night. They traditionally, because they should not touch the fire, put the chicken to cook Friday lunch, and it stays. This is a hypocrisy with the religion. You're not supposed to touch the fire. Now everything is electronic. They walk in, they don't touch it, but it comes on. Now they're very good Jewish guys. But the same chick was carrying in the back centuries ago, they put the chicken on a fire Friday lunch to be ready, because after sunset on a Friday they cannot touch fire, which meant in reality, take a rest. Body needs a rest. You can't work 6-7 days a week. They change it different way. Then this chicken cooks all the way through Saturday. So at a constant temperature, high temperature, to keep it going, then it's ready, because Monday morning, Saturday morning, you have to have a chicken soup. Sunday, Saturday lunch, you have a chicken soup, till you come to the Shabbat on the Saturday night, when you can start cooking and actually touch the fire. So what this process did, brought the omega-3 fatty oil out of the chicken, and it sits on the top. And if you talk to my great-grandmother, she swears that you can use omega-3 for anything. I couldn't understand what my great-grandmother was telling me, and she swears by it. It was correct, because her time, chickens were free chickens, free-range chickens. People bought, farmers brought chickens. It was never a box or whatever. They were in the garden. We took what we call free-range now. So, not being in captivity and eating what they like, they produced omega-3, because that way they could handle their emotions. Now, with omega-6, which is the fatty acid of the captivity to handle the emotions, we don't get that effect. So you don't need to use omega-6. Omega-6, omega-9, they're just literally waste of time, because omega-3 comes through the emotion. These fatty acids are connected to our emotions, direction of the growth of the understanding of the behavior of the body. So when you put a free-range chicken with its fatty oil, which comes out, and traditionally, what do? We put an onion in. Onion, in the cooking time cycle of doing it, this is why you fry the onion in a way, releases another oil, which penetrates the meat and makes it ready to receive the amino acid from what we call fatty acids. And so a combination of the onion and the free-range omega-3 gives you the best emotional and a condition. Like you couldn't get the flu, and it sorted a lot of problems because they couldn't understand it, but it actually, that's what it does. This is what the behavior we see in most of the herbs. Indian herbs, you see, if you cook with the Indian herbs and don't let it to heat up, that it releases its oil, has no effect. Those of you who are in what Oriental or South American cooking, you get only effect of what you use when you allow it is oil to come out, that the oil can penetrate and interact by its energy field inside the body of the man. So now we understand scientifically what's behind it, and then when omega-3 goes inside the structure of the body, can you open the structure of the omega-3, please? And then you see this adds up, links up with a lot of things, with a lot of parts of the what we call human body. If you look at it, it's pure hydrogen oxygen bond. That's all it does. Oxygenates, gives energy to be, and then the hydrogen releases it. Can we have this a structural bond, not this way, where it says with the 6 and 12s? If you can open it up that way, you will see it in a much better way. So in a way, the oxygen extracts all the poisons, and the hydrogen releases energy back into it. This is why fatty acids work. They've got a high level of oxygen with gravitational magnet inside the body of the man in the vacuum field of the energy. That's why you have a CO2 and the rest. And then it's, if you stop there, please, 1 second. Where are you going so fast, Mr. Clement? Okay, stay there.
Okay.
Stay there. And then you have, you see this very, very intensely. When you buy an omega-3 bottle, it gives you two indications, EPA and DHA. And the EPA, when it's higher, we give it to hyperactive, we call it to hyperactive children, because it's for emotion. DHA is for activity. EPA is emotional kinship. DHA is activity, physical compensation. And when you look at the bonding of the H and O, then you understand why the structure of the EPA has the ability to calm. It gives emotional control because it has the energy strength on the level of potassium. If you open what you were showing us 6 and 12 and everything else, if you can find the proper structure of it, I'll show you. I've done years of research on this, trying to understand the behavior of fatty acids. And fatty acids are literally why they work. Is if you add emotion to it or you add physically to it. When you have a hyperactive child, they call it ADHD. ADHD is attention deficiency hyperactivity. What is attention deficiency? It's emotion. I want attraction, I want attention, I exist. So you give it EPA, which is the fatty acid in the strength of the emotion, you satisfy the emotion. Voila, the child comes down. Because, as I explained in the other teachings, the ADHD is attention deficiency hyperactivity. Why do you have attention deficiency? When you don't give me attention, I'll get it. But to get your attention, I'll do anything. I furnish in the house doesn't exist. No human is any barrier. I take over everything till I get my attention. And what is interesting is the combination of this energy is so much that when I get attention, I have to be active. For me being active, they call me attention ADHD. So I wanna, if it satisfies my emotion, I don't need to be active. I'm calm as anything. When you feed me, I don't need to go to the restaurant, do I? If you satisfy me at home, I don't play outside. You don't satisfy at home, I go to a restaurant and I come and say, starting, I'm not hungry. And this is the ADHD. And when we look at the EPA and DHA, you'll see it very clearly where they come. In so many ways, the present doctors don't understand this. The world of medicine has never understood the position of this. Now, all I need to do is sit down in front of you, give all the attention you want, or I give you a dosage of EPA in omega-3 from non-captured animal which had a freedom that he doesn't have the EPA itself, then voila, done. You want to use an EPA, you look at it. Is it from the wild animals? Is it from the wild fish? Or is it from captivity fish? You're already embedding the problem in another problem. This is why the whole food chain has to be understood by those who supply us with the food chain. We see it in pig flu. Pig flu is a psychosomatic. Pig is not happy. You satisfy the emotion of it. You satisfy the illness. Doesn't exist. So when you look for omega-6, you're already giving a captured disease to a captured body. Why? Omega-9, heavy on EPA, but from a free animal. They call them nowadays open sea. What do you call it? Fish. Yes, but do you want to come with me to the open seas? Yes, it is open seas, but the net and 10,000 fish in the net. Worse than the, what I call, Auschwitz prison camps. Knowing you're gonna die, they got you here, and now we do what they like with you. And then you have to understand how badly we are controlled and we don't understand one behind the other problems. Omega-3, you use, try to raise chickens in the garden yourself, second generation, third generation, then yes, you get the omega-3. Then when you cook the bird for his meat, take the fat on the top, and then you have more or less somewhere near captivity. When you have your bird, touch him, talk to him, you know, that they love to live, then you understand. Then you know what omega-3 is. Karen and I, we've done this, going through this process to capture what we call omega-3 for this purpose. Spend a lot of time understanding these things. But when you look at this binding and bundling of different sections of or part of the omega-3s, omega-6 or omega-9, it gives you very, very indication, because you don't satisfy the emotional side. I have a lot of hydrogen energy to live out, so the boy has to spend. It's like, if you understand with the omega-3 and omega-6, you're actually injecting your child with more energy, so it becomes, it's got to burn it. You put a fuel in the tank, so it's going to go. Makes it more and more. And then you have to understand how omega-3 and omega-6 and omega-9 works. And then sometimes you have to interact, like omega-3 with what you call B12 or B6. Then you get a beautiful, extremely intelligent, extremely calm children. But you have to know what to do. And this is a job of the physicians to advise. Any other question?
Mamy koniec tłumaczenia na dzisiaj. Tak więc nie wiem, jak ktoś chce zadać pytanie, może postaramy się wspólnie na nie odpowiedzieć lub coś dodać od siebie, to zapraszam serdecznie.
No, dzięki Jarku. No, tradycyjnie korzystałem z chwili ciszy. Postaram się w miarę szybko przybliżyć tutaj poruszone wątki. Dzisiaj mieliśmy dość sporą dawkę informacji, wiedzy. Sytuacja w Chinach. Była informacja o profesorze, który różne teorie głosił i który miał połączenia ze Stanami Zjednoczonymi tam. W tym tłumaczeniu może to nie było zbyt jasne, ale chodziło o fundusze dla swoich studentów doktoratów, czyli właśnie zabezpieczenie grantów, można powiedzieć, na tych studentów, którzy później pod okiem tego profesora robią doktorat. Były informacje, tu Wang Lin nam mówiła o wojsku czy firmie, tam pamiętam jak to było określone, która chciała produkować tonę gansu dziennie, czyli też pojawiają się takie inicjatywy. Tam była też informacja o tym, że sekretarze zdrowia czy ministrzy zdrowia w tym rejonie byli urzędnicy, byli zastępowani przez inne osoby, czyli w Chinach generalnie dzieje się tam dość sporo zamieszania w tym kierunku. Była też informacja o tym, że ludzie, którzy mają agrawa, póki co nie chorują. Doktor Keshe pytał się też o kubek życia. Były pytania zwrotne. Było pytanie o to, jak produkować dużo aminokwasu i tutaj wytłumaczenie było takie, żeby użyć pojemnika, który ma dużą powierzchnię, czyli można powiedzieć bardziej płytki, ale gdzieś szerszy w swojej średnicy, żeby tej powierzchni, na której zbiera się aminokwas, było więcej. Była też informacja o uzupełnianiu wody, gdyż ten tlen z wody też jest wyczerpywany, związany z wodorem, a także tak samo dzieje się z solą. W pewnym momencie ta woda robi się bardziej słodka, chociażby z tego tytułu, że ta sól też gdzieś tam wkłada na naszych płytkach, a swoją drogą chyba w dalszej części tej warsztatu, czy w następnym, doktor Keshe mówi o tym, żeby tą sól sobie zatrzymać, schować i używać na przykład do wanny, kiedy się kąpiemy, że ma bardzo dobre działanie właśnie taka transowa sól. Dostęp dwutlenku węgla to jest kolejny tutaj czynnik, który wpływa właśnie na produkcję w kubku życia, więc mogą być gorsze rezultaty gdzieś tam na wsi, w miejscach, które nie są mocno zanieczyszczone, ale w miejscach, gdzie jest to zanieczyszczenie właśnie dwutlenkiem węgla, tam uzyskujemy lepsze rezultaty, więc w tym kubku życia oczywiście te wszystkie elementy, wielkość powierzchni, uzupełnianie wody, sprawdzanie zasolenia, dostępność CO2, te wszystkie czynniki środowiskowe mają wpływ na to, w jakiej ilości będzie się produkować. Mieliśmy też dość dużo wątków politycznych, było o tym przekupstwie wielkiej farmy, można powiedzieć, w Chinach, procesy, które tam się toczą po to, żeby ten plan Billa Gatesa, jak tutaj dr Keshe określał to, właśnie o tej trującej szczepionce. Była też informacja o tym, że w związku z tym, że Chińczycy wykradali latami jego technologię i on też w tym procesie już nie był najbogatszym człowiekiem na Ziemi, to ten plan właśnie depopulacji, który ma być dla dobra Ziemi, z jednej strony można powiedzieć, to tutaj właśnie jest skierowany przede wszystkim na Chiny, jeśli chodzi o ten genotyp tego wirusa, który przede wszystkim atakuje właśnie Chińczyków. Ale też tu dr Keshe tłumaczył związek właśnie tego koronawirusa z afrykańskim pomorem świń, gdzie tutaj, jak mówił, Bill Gates strzelił sobie trochę w stopę, bo w ten sposób wiemy, że na przykład muzułmanie nie jedzą wieprzowiny, więc cierpią przede wszystkim chrześcijanie, a nie z kolei religia właśnie muzułmańska. Była lista krajów, w których pojawiły się pierwsze zakażenia, w ogóle wszystkie zakażenia, jakie na świecie występują. Dr Keshe omawiał, które kraje są zagrożone. Było Rosji, było w Niemczech, też wspomniał tutaj, że pewnie te historie przybliży nam jeszcze później. Była też wspomniana Polska jako jeden z krajów, w których był ten pomór afrykański świń, gdzie właśnie dochodziło też, myślę, do konsumpcji skażonego mięsa. I to tutaj dr Keshe później rysował, gdzie tłumaczył właśnie nie wiem, czy to jest dobrze przetłumaczone, też niespecjalnie znam to nazewnictwo, gdzieś tam w biologii zaawansowanej, jeśli chodzi właśnie o te dwunitkowe czy dwuniciowe wirusy, albo jednoniciowe czy jednospiralowe, nie wiem, jakby tutaj było najlepiej. W każdym bądź razie te kraje tutaj dr Keshe omawiał po kolei, pokazywał też kierunek tego, jak to wszystko zostało rozsiane, gdzie podążały te świnie, gdzie są spodziewane zachorowania. Później kawałek był ucięty w momencie, kiedy dr Keshe mówił o prywatnych studentach, o tych grupach badawczych, które właśnie na prywatnych zajęciach z języka angielskiego tam formowały się grupy, znaczy w języku angielskiego tam formowały się grupy studentów prywatnych, które pracują nad różnego rodzaju projektami i te grupy z czasem za parę tygodni, miesięcy będą współpracować z różnego rodzaju uniwersytetami na całym świecie, gdzie będą mogli właśnie brać udział w badaniach, rozwijaniu tej technologii do przodu. Ten wątek tej nitkowości czy złożoności tych wirusów, pomoru świni, teraz tego koronawirusa, który doktor też rysował, właśnie te dwie kreski. O, właśnie mamy po lewej stronie na czerwono, to był chyba ten koronawirus dwuniciowy, nie, to był ten pomoru świń, a po prawej stronie ten koronawirus. I tutaj literką B dr Keshe oznaczył właśnie bakterię, czyli to połączenie jednej z tych nici, można powiedzieć, wirusa bazującego na bakterii, a druga nitka to jest właśnie to, co bazuje na energii, tak samo jak w przypadku tego drugiego wirusa. I tutaj rozwiązanie, jak wiemy, kubek życia, którego wideo i to rozwiązanie jest bardzo często prezentowane. Było też usuwane z internetu, po raz kolejny wrzucane, więc widać też te zabiegi cenzury, które mają w tym samym czasie miejsce. Dr Keshe mówi też o zagrożeniu tego, że ten wirus, te dwa pojedyncze wirusy z tych dwóch i jednej nici mogą stać się trójniciowe. Mówi też o tych etapach, dwóch etapach, pierwszej gorączki, drugiej gorączki. Na tym drugim etapie większa ilość tlenku miedzi CO przez parę dni przynosi dobre rezultaty. Mówi też tutaj dr Keshe o tym, że kubek życia produkuje, w tym kubku produkujemy też gans sile magnezu, był też ten element potasu wytłumaczony, który pomaga przede wszystkim w przypadkach biegunki. I wrócił ten temat dostarczania właśnie dwutlenku węgla, gdzie jest to wykorzystywane już w rolnictwie, na przykład był przykład Holandii, pomidorów przytoczony przez doktora Keszego. I tak samo możemy te same techniki stosować właśnie przy produkcji gasów, żeby upewnić się, że jest duża dostępność właśnie tego dwutlenku węgla. Jedną z takich rad, gdzie tutaj była wspomniana, to żeby na przykład rozstawić te kubki życia w domu. Jest to pewnego rodzaju naturalna dezynfekcja, bo tak samo jak mamy ten przykład dostępności CO2 i absorbowania CO2 przez ten kubek, tak samo w procesie produkcji gansów gdzieś te pola wirusa które funkcjonują w tej sile, też są absorbowane, więc jest to taka naturalna, można powiedzieć, dezynfekcja, jak pułapki na myszy i ochrona właśnie przed tym wirusem. No i na koniec mieliśmy ten temat kwasów tłuszczowych omega-6, omega-3, omega-9. Wszystkie dr Keshe tutaj podkreślił radioaktywne, czyli wysokoenergetyczne, można powiedzieć. Łączy się to przede wszystkim, te kwasy łączą się z emocją niewoli u wolnych zwierząt. Są to substancje, które korzystnie wpływają. Tu była cała historia tego gotowania rosołu, tej żydowskiej tradycji, tego jak prababka doktora Keszego mówiła, że właśnie ten tłuszcz z rosołu, który zbiera się z góry, jest dobry w zasadzie na wszystko, na wszystkie choroby. Tutaj doktor Keshe mówi, że dopiero po jakimś czasie zrozumiał, że ile to prawdy w sobie niesie, ale też podkreślił fakt, że to musi być skór, taki rosół skóry, która żyła właśnie na wolnym wybiegu, która nie zaznała tej emocji właśnie zniewolenia, w której czuje się zagrożona. I wtedy właśnie te tłuszcze omega, te kwasy tłuszcze są zdrowe. Tak samo tu, jeśli chodzi o wątek gotowania, było też o tym elemencie cebuli, która w pewien sposób dodana, przysmażona, otwiera to mięso, wyciąga te aminokwasy. Tak samo zresztą jak to ma miejsce na przykład z przyprawami indyjskimi, gdzie żeby wyciągnąć z nich esencję, żeby naprawdę działały, muszą wypuścić ten swój olej, musi to się dziać w wysokiej temperaturze. W przypadku chociażby omegi-6, tutaj Keshe mieliśmy diagram, który wskazywał na te elementy wiązań tlenowo-wodorowych, gdzie tlen jest właśnie tym elementem bardzo grawitacyjnym, a wodór jest tym, co daje energię do życia. I jeśli chodzi o z kolei omega-3, tutaj dr Keshe już chyba bez posiłkowania się diagramami czy Wikipedią sam wymienił dwie substancje. Wspominał, że tutaj dużo czasu spędził zgłębiając ten temat. Jedną z tych substancji było EPA, coś, co jest dobre na nadpobudliwość, uspokaja na poziomie właśnie potasu, uspokaja emocjonalnie. Drugi element DHA właśnie w celu pobudzenia aktywności. I omawiając te dwa składniki, dr Keshe wspomniał właśnie o tym syndromie ADHD, czyli niedoborze uwagi, czymś, co ma mocne podłoże emocjonalne i w tym momencie właśnie taki EPA z omegi-3, z skóry, która biegała na wolnym wybiegu przynajmniej 2-3 generacje, gdzie tej emocji strachu nie było dziedziczone i też można powiedzieć z pokolenia na pokolenie. Wtedy właśnie ten składnik to EPA jest tym, co ma tutaj bardzo pozytywne działanie i w ten sposób jest w stanie zaspokoić tą emocję, która wywołuje to schorzenie. I jeśli chodzi o ten afrykański pomór świń, wracając do tego wątku, tutaj też jest głęboka podstawa tego schorzenia, czy tego wirusa też emocjonalna, gdzie to zwierzę, ta świnia też przebywa w niewoli, żeby być w pewnym momencie stracona. Tak samo zresztą jak ryby łapane na morzu z wolnego połowu, nie z hodowli. Dr Keshe wskazywał na to, że ta emocja też tam występuje, bo w siatkach te ryby łapane są w tysiącach sztuk i przez jakiś czas wiadomo, nie od razu te sieci są wyciągane i te ryby gdzieś tam przesiąkają, można powiedzieć, tą emocją. Tu na koniec jeszcze było wskazanie o omega-3 i witaminie B12 albo B6, że właśnie w tej kombinacji pod kontrolą oczywiście lekarzy te elementy mają bardzo pozytywny wpływ na rozwój dzieci, które są, można powiedzieć, spokojne, rosną na spokojne dzieci, które nie mają żadnych braków właśnie na tym poziomie tych emocji, które były tutaj omawiane. To w zasadzie wszystko z mojej strony, dość zwięźle te tematy polityczne. Myślę, każdy sobie mógł w szczegółach posłuchać w takiej, w jakich chciał. To nagranie będzie dostępne na tej liście oczywiście, więc muszę sobie jeszcze raz obejrzeć. To wszystko z mojej strony. Dzięki.
Dzięki, Przemku. Myślę, że o omega-3 jeszcze będzie kawałek w tym warsztacie. to obejrzymy następnym razem. Jeśli nie ma pytań, chyba że ktoś ma jakieś pytanie, to zapraszam. Jeśli nie ma, to kończymy na dzisiaj. To były 338 warsztaty poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim z czwartku 20 lutego 2020 roku. Tak więc życzę dobrej nocy i do usłyszenia. A jeszcze tak na koniec dodam, warto promować te kubki życia na swoich tam prywatnych kontach, czy to Facebooku, czy gdziekolwiek indziej, lub dzielić się ze znajomymi tymi informacjami, bo to myślę, że jest dosyć istotne. Tak więc zapraszam do dzielenia się wiedzą i do usłyszenia.
Dziękuję bardzo. Do usłyszenia.
Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy i musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.